Don't let the internet find out what you really look like, because if they do, you're gonna be severely dragged. Like, it's really giving, how do these 13-year-olds look older than me and I'm 20? You don't see people rising to the top who are not at least somewhat attractive in some way. What happens when you're no longer seen as attractive based off of the current beauty standard? Everybody wants to know how they can glow up and become that girl.
Why my glow up keep passing me?
Hey guys, what's up? It's Cam. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the toxicity of glowing up. So before we get into it, make sure you go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. Also, comment down below your thoughts about glowing up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and my second channel. That's where I post all of my natural hair, lifestyle, girl talk, vlogs type of content. And also, if you want to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on all of my social media, my Instagram, my spam account, and my TikTok. Everything will be on the screen and linked down below. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we are going to be talking about the toxicity of glowing up. Now, I have wanted to talk about glow ups for quite a while because I feel like it's just something that is extremely, when I say extremely, I mean extremely prevalent in our generation, especially in the last few years. I feel like everybody is talking about a glow up. I feel like everybody is trying to glow up, and it just seems to be something that you just do. Like at a certain point in your life, you're going to glow up, and if you don't glow up, that must mean that you peaked somewhere in high school or something, and it's just not going to happen for you. But I do want to get into the idea of glowing up and why I feel like it's become something that is just completely and extremely toxic. So before we can really get into it, I feel like it's really important to kind of define the parameters of what a glow up is. Like, I mean, how can we talk about glowing up without first defining what glowing up is? So I'm pretty sure there is a bunch of different definitions out there, but for me personally, glowing up is a term that refers to the mental, physical, and emotional transformation for the better. When you glow up, you are enhanced both mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I think glow ups can go either way. They can be natural, or they can be planned, or they could even be both. I think they can also be gradual and permanent, or they could even be fast and temporary. Glowing up is basically when somebody goes from being yeesh to sheesh, as today's generation would call it. So just to give you guys a couple of examples of what I mean when I say glow up, think Kylie Jenner, think somebody like Chloe Bailey, Ariana Grande. A lot of these girls and women that we would consider to be very attractive now did not necessarily start off being that attractive as children, or at least what somebody would consider to be attractive when they were younger, when they were children. But now, as they have grown into young adults and have been able to fully grow into their features, now a lot of them are considered to be attractive, even if they have had surgery to accomplish that, or if they haven't. So I kind of want to get into the toxicity of glowing up before I dive completely into the topic. And the first thing that I do want to mention is the fact that a lot of the times, I think now especially, you are not able to be ugly or have an ugly phase at all. You are not allowed to be ugly or average looking or have an ugly phase or average looking phase at all. It goes straight from being like a cute little kid straight to being like baddie, straight to popping off and being like the most beautiful, most gorgeous thing walking. It's something that I've noticed a lot, especially with the rise of social media and the rise of TikTok, especially with young girls going up through their teenage years and becoming young adults and young women. They are like, I feel like there's an enormous pressure to be a baddie at a very young age and to be like hot at a very, very young age, that people are fully skipping over that awkward tween phase. People are fully skipping over that like little bit of splash of ugliness phase in their lives in exchange for being a baddie, or in exchange for being very, very attractive younger and younger and younger. I feel like the more I look into it and the more I see it on the internet, girls are becoming very attractive younger and younger and younger. Like, I feel like there is no reason why I should be seeing 13-year-olds and 12-year-olds looking like 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds. To me, it's very extravagant, but when you look at the climate of social media and when you look at the climate of our generation, it's something that's becoming very, very normal. And another thing I feel like is that people push themselves super far in order to look a certain way, and it's gotten to the point of where everybody is starting to kind of have the same face, everybody's kind of starting to have the same vibe, everybody's kind of starting to have the same aesthetic, is because everybody has this image of what attractiveness or what beauty or what glowing up looks like, that everybody is following the same trends, everybody is following the same path, and everybody is starting to look the same way in order to achieve this perceived glow up or in order to achieve this perceived level of attractiveness. And I think where this gets really dangerous is the fact that beauty standards are forever changing and evolving. Something that's going to be considered beautiful and deemed as attractive now is probably not going to be the same thing 5 years from now, and it definitely was not the same thing 5 years ago. And when you think about it, a lot of this stuff will forever just be trends. Like, having big lips right now is a trend, but 5-10 years ago it was deemed as being very ugly and girls were picked on for having it. Having a shapely figure was looked down upon, while being very skinny was praised a few years ago, but it's something that has cycled out with the era of the BBL and things like that. And so now we're seeing something that is a completely different shift, and especially considering fashion trends and different mannerisms and things like that, you can just kind of see how glowing up has become this all-encompassing thing that passes on through generations, but is very specific to the generation that it is in currently. And you can see the toxicity of it now, especially when it's plastered all over the screens that we're looking on all the time through social media, apps like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, whatever the case may be. And you realize just how toxic is when you recognize the fact that kids aren't even able to be kids anymore. Like I said before, they're going from like 10 years old, cute little kids, to being like 25 Instagram baddies. And I think there is something inherently wrong with that. So the first point that I really want to get into is the emphasis that this generation has placed on glowing up. Because while I think there has been a large emphasis placed on it, I think it's in a certain way. Because glowing up can mean different things for different people, but I feel like this generation has a very, very specific way in which they consider people to glow up, in which they consider a successful glow up. And I think a lot of it now, especially, most of the time, these people are wearing excessive makeup. I'm talking about lashes, full beats, wigs, weave, edges laid. It's the full 9 yards, and it's something that I feel like is constantly plastered in your face because everybody wants to make sure they are looking their best at all times, especially if it is on social media, especially if they're going to be posting stuff to the internet, because nowadays perception is everything. And because a lot of emphasis is placed on social media presence, especially for this generation, for us, it's really important to be looking our best at all times. And I think for a lot of people, what happens when they're caught in their natural state, especially when they are most known for looking extremely attractive on their social media accounts, a lot of people get dragged. Think about whenever celebrities are caught without having makeup on. Think about when they're just out and about and they're getting random pictures taken of them by random people when they're just minding their business. We get to see what they really look like without all of the makeup, without the Photoshop, without the wigs, just being regular looking people. And a lot of the time, it is cause for being dragged by the full internet. Do not let people on the internet find out what you really look like, especially if you're up on here wearing full beats and lashes and all that type of stuff every single day. Don't let the internet find out what you really look like, because if they do, you're going to be severely dragged and there's really nothing you can do about it. Because I think a lot of people want to dismantle, or a lot of people get pleasure out of trying to humble people for what they really look like, that it's very common when somebody is caught without all of the enhancements that they have to be made fun of or talked about in a negative way. And I think on the flip side of that is when people are praised for having a natural beauty. I think a lot of the times people will swear up and down that you have some sort of enhancement, that you have some sort of filter, that you're wearing some sort of like powerful concealer or foundation in order to just make your skin look airbrushed. And it's the same kind of dragging, but in a different way. People want to humble you. People want to bring you back down just because they feel like it's not normal these days to look natural, or it is not normal these days to be naturally attractive. People will swear up and down you're not. And if you do market yourself as being very naturally attractive, a lot of the times you're made out to be a pick-me because people assume that you think you're better than other girls, or you think you're better than other women because you don't have to use all of the makeup and all the enhancements and wear the wigs and things like that in order for people to consider you attractive. So there is such an incredible duality between the two that I think is very interesting when you're talking about the emphasis of glowing up. And like I said before, right now, or just in general even, trends are forever evolving. I said this literally 2 seconds ago. Something that is popular now is not going to be popular in 5 years, or was not the same thing that is popular 5 years ago. So what happens when we're constantly aiming for and trying to reach beauty standards that seem to be unattainable? What happens when you're no longer seen as attractive based off of the current beauty standard? Kids kids, I'm talking about like 10, 12, 13 children are out here trying to reach beauty standards that are unattainable. People are taking it so far, and at this point it's not even children, but people are taking it so far in order to reach something that seems to be nearly unreachable. And this is all in the name of glowing up. And I think now it's gotten to the point where people are considering extreme options in order to get the glow up that they've always wanted. So that means like surgery, think about the BBL epidemic. That means losing weight in very unhealthy ways, and even having your self-esteem ruined by having to constantly put on makeup and constantly enhance your face in order for people to praise you or to consider you as being attractive. So not only is it taxing from a physical standpoint, but it also causes a lot of people to spiral into a depression and an anxiety because they're not able to reach the beauty standards that have been put out there because they're just simply so unattainable. So let's talk about pretty privilege, because I think pretty privilege is a very, very, very large factor in all of this. Like, I feel like we can clearly see people that are considered as being attractive, whether it's naturally attractive or even artificially attractive. We can see that they're able to benefit from their attractiveness, whether that means getting things like opportunities or even attention. Pretty people do have a sort of a privilege in our society where they are seen as the elite, where they're seen as better than the rest, where they're just put on a pedestal because of the way that they look. And I actually do have a full video on pretty privilege that I posted a couple of weeks ago, so if you would like to check that out, I will make sure to link it up above and in the description box for you guys to go watch that, because I go into a little bit more depth in that video than I will in this video, but I will go ahead and restate a couple of my points. You don't see people rising to the top who are not at least somewhat attractive in some way, because in order to get people to consume your content at very high levels, people have to want to look at you. And if you're not easy on the eyes, people are not gonna want to look at you. And it's just as simple as that. I don't think there's any nicer of a way to put it, but because we place so much emphasis on being attractive, and because pretty privilege is such a thing that is very rampant in our society and in our generation, it just is what it is. So at this point, everybody wants to be pretty. Everybody wants to be attractive because we understand the benefits that you get from being so, and so we want to be able to bask in that stuff as well. So as I mentioned before, social media plays a very, very large role into this. Obviously, we are the generation of social media. If you don't have social media at this point, you might as well live under a rock, because so much goes on social media that if you're not keeping up with it, it is so easy to get left behind. So when we're considering the conversation of glowing up and why glowing up is toxic, I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the video, but nowadays kids want to skip their ugly phase. Nobody wants to be considered ugly. Nobody wants to be considered awkward. People are blowing straight past. Children are blowing straight past their awkward preteen phase, their like prepubescent kind of trying to find their way, find their style, find their look phase, and going straight for the Instagram baddie. We're going from 12 to 21. Like, we're going from the ugly duckling to the swan. Like, it's really giving, how do these 13-year-olds look older than me and I'm 20? And what I think is very interesting about the fact that a lot of girls especially want to skip through their awkward, like, ugly phase is the fact that they're missing out on the character it builds. Girl, that stage of your life builds character. And I think making the big jump from cute little kid to IG baddie is a change that would happen so rapidly that a lot of kids, a lot of girls, a lot of teenage girls are not able to fully process what is going on and what's happening, because it is all happening so quick. And of course, social media has everything to do with it. I mean, kids nowadays, their role models not only are celebrities at this point, but most of the time their role models are going to come from influencers. And influencers are not held to the same standard or did not have to go through the same lengths to have their status as most celebrities have. So you're looking up to influencers and celebrities based off of the life that they have, based off of how they look, based off of how their hair is, based off of how they do their makeup, based off of how their body is, and you're romanticizing that. You're infatuated with it. It's almost like an idolization. And when you're consuming that content all the time, looking at girls that look the same or women that look the same endlessly as you're scrolling and scrolling mindlessly, of course you're going to want to be like that. Of course you're going to see that as being beautiful and being attractive. And of course, when you look at yourself in the mirror as somebody that's kind of trying to come into your own and trying to come into your own age, you're 15 or 16, you might even be 12 or 13, you're thinking, well, dang, I don't look like that. And now you're trying everything, you're trying to do everything you can in order to be able to look like that. Whether that means doing your makeup the same way, or doing your hair the same way, or dressing the same way, or even going to the extreme of trying to get your body to look the same way. It's really hard out here for the kids. You're going to want to look like them, act like them, live like them, be like them, period. And it's really all encompassing. And the fact that numbers have a lot to do with it, this generation is all about numbers. When I tell you nothing goes by without numbers, I'm talking about followers, I'm talking about likes, I'm talking about comments, I'm talking about even dislikes at this point. Like, the numbers play such a huge role into everything. You're gonna feel validation when you reach your first 1,000 followers. If you have 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers, you have all these comments telling you, oh my gosh, you're so gorgeous, you're so pretty, you look so good, you're so hot, this, that, and the third. So if you're comparing yourself to your friend or to the celebrity or to whoever it is on the internet, seeing them get all of these comments and likes and followers, and you're not, and you may be around the same age, you're gonna wonder what's going on. Am I not pretty enough? Am I not hot enough? Am I not attractive enough? Am I not good looking enough? Do I not dress well enough? Is my hair not enough? Like, it's this whole spiral that happens when you add social media as a factor into the equation that just completely distorts your image of yourself, completely distorts your image of reality even, and it just trashes the entire thing. And I think because glowing up is so prevalent on the internet and on social media today, that's something that's all you see, it's really, really hard to get away from. I posted a video on my second channel titled How to Become That Girl in 2022. If you haven't seen it, I will link it down below so you can check it out. But we're gonna be talking about being that girl. And I might sound like a hypocrite because I literally just said that I posted a video telling people how they can become that girl. But we're gonna talk about it from a different perspective today because I think it's important to mention that everybody wants to be that girl. Whether it means being that girl in 2022 or whether that means just being that girl in general, everybody wants to be the main character. Everybody at this point, I feel like, has a main character complex, and it's just something that we've developed over the course of time. I don't blame anyone, but I'm just saying, I think it's something that adds into the conversation of glowing up and the toxicity of glowing up. Now, like I said before, everybody wants to be that girl, and I think it's more so for the perks that come along with doing so. I think when you're that girl or when you're becoming that girl, you develop a certain type of confidence, a certain vibe, a certain aura around you that lets people know, like, yeah, she is that girl. And I think it's something that almost may enhance a glow up because you take on this other kind of persona or this elevated persona that lets people know, like, it's something that I think a lot of people would consider to be more attractive. I think there was a TikTok trend that recently went around that was kind of like basically saying that attractiveness is just based off of a confidence level. And if I can find some examples, I will insert them so you guys can understand more of what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think a lot of the interaction that I personally have with being that girl comes mainly from social media. And that's because everybody at this point is trying to be that girl. There are so many TikToks, there are so many YouTube videos, there are so many Instagram reels and Instagram carousels and infographics and all that types of stuff that are gonna tell you the best ways to become that girl. And it's something that a lot of people follow. This type of content gets a lot of views because everybody wants to know how they can glow up and become that girl. Because that girl is supposed to have it together in literally every single category in her life. Whenever it comes to the productivity, whenever it comes to the makeup, the workout routine, the body yada yada, if you know what I'm talking about, eating habits, when it comes to all types of stuff, that girl is supposed to be a full package. And I think most importantly, she's supposed to carry herself as such, which means looking her best at any given time, 24/7, always, never missing a beat. That girl is supposed to be the main character. And I think that when we're talking about being that girl, a lot of it is in heavy association with glowing up. And I think because it's something that a lot of people are trying to achieve, it puts a glamorization on glowing up. It puts rose-colored glasses over the process in which it takes in order to become an elevated version of yourself. And I don't think a lot of people really understand the type of journey that is, or the type of mental toughness that it requires. Like, I feel like you have to have a certain level of maturity in order to take on a journey such as that. But but I think because we make it so accessible and so easy for young people to be able to consume this content, that they just think it's a walk in the park, it's just sunshine and rainbows to be able to glow up in such a way to where people are going to be gawking over you. And I think maybe being that girl is a part of the problem. So yeah guys, that is it for this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and please let me know what you thought about this video in the comments. If you have anything you want to add, or if you have any other opinions that are in rebuttal to my own opinions, I would love to know in the comment section down below. If you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment this emoji. That will let me know that you made it this far in the video, and you have a special place in my heart. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Make sure you click the notification bell so you never miss when I upload, and also subscribe to my second channel. That is where I post all of my natural hair, lifestyle, girl talk, vlogs type of content. And if you want to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on all of my social media, my Instagram, my Spam account, and my TikTok. Everything will be on the screen and linked down below. And yeah, that is it. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. Don't forget to be the light, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!